Good morning there, YouTubers, friends. It's Saturday, April 13th, and I'm going to talk geometry today. My main topic is sphere packing. What do we want you to get out of synergetics? We don't even have to constantly refer to it by that. It's like the memes are percolating in. I'm in fourth grade. I live in a refugee camp, or I don't, whatever. Refugee camp is what I was just recording about, so that is on my mind. I've got picture. Maria was she's standing next to Ibrahim there. That's the Chinese gate in Portland, and we had a homeless village there for quite a while called Right to Dream 2, and it outlasted the Occupy community by a long shot. Long story. I'd love to go into it, but we're on to sphere packing now, and I'm going to be having some exhibits showing up so I can explain better what I want you to take away from this as a fourth grade level sort of thing to know that everyone should know. Just kind of fluency. Like, we really spend a lot of time with XYZ, don't we? We've got the system of girders that we use to build skyscrapers, you could say, or used to, is XYZ. I mean, still is, right? It's closest packed cubes, filling space. We become fluent with that in school, and I'm saying there's more to it. If you want to be competent in STEM or whatever, there's another skeleton to take up and learn about, and it's defined by closest packed spheres, and have some closest packed spheres, but then that also creates a matrix of points in space. I'll show you some more of these later, but this here is C6. This is flextegrity pre-C60, and the centers of these icosahedrons in this case, which are held together flexibly by springs, are at the centers of what we call the CCP, or close-centered packing, cubic-centered packing. Why it's called cubic-centered? That's a history there. CCP used to be taught with what we call the unit cell, which was cube-shaped, and then you color in where the vertices go in that cube. It's easier to introduce the CCP as a growing cuboctahedron of spheres, much easier. And Dr. Loeb got a lot of support for that when he shared it, right? He and Fuller agreed on this, and it's like crystallographers are not against it. It's not a bad thing to do, right? We're not talking about committing any real sins here, just gaining some fluency. So here's the rhombic dodecahedron, and this is what closest packs around each one of the spheres or each one of the domains. Is called a Voronoi cell in the CCP. So the CCP is defined as a closest pack, bricked together rhombic dodecahedra in a lattice, and then the spheres are, like you could think of, inside, tangent to each of the faces. And the question is, okay, I've got two kinds of vertex. I've got kind of a shallow vertex, which will be at the corners of a cube. I can inscribe this cube. See my Genesis story. It's called a Genesis story about the begettings of these polyhedrons, how we make the platonics do their dual action, and then how we can combine the duals to make additional polyhedra that aren't platonics. So we generate the cuboctahedron and the rhombic dodecahedron from the duals. Like the other dual inside of this, the platonics that make this are the cube going through short diagonals, connecting short diagonals. Those are cube edges. If you connect the long edges instead, you get the octahedron. And these two shapes, cube and octahedron, correspond to two kinds of void, two kinds of, you could say, unoccupied space that we have in the isotropic vector matrix, or CCP, and so forth. Between all the balls that are packed together, you could do this with soccer balls, baseballs, ping pong balls, golf balls, ping pong balls recommended. You'll get two kinds of void, two kinds of hole. One kind is surrounded by four balls, that void, and those would be where the shallow tips appear. because there's twice as many tetrahedra as octahedra in an IVM. So you have the seeds for other IVMs in the IVM. The long tips, on the other hand, connecting the long diagonals, more sharp tips, these occur at the centers of octahedra voids, surrounded by 6 balls. So those, okay, are half as many. And those form the seed of another IVM, another isotropic vector matrix. As Russell Chu observed and pointed out to me many times, you have basically 4 IVMs. The one you have, the one at the centers of all the sharp points, and then there are 2 more. You have to pick which, on this cube, which tetrahedron do you want to pick. And depending on which one, you're going to illuminate one of 2 other IVMs, so 4 in total. So you can go back over this, think about it some more. I'm summarizing the information. More animations will help. If you're in a refugee camp, you've got time to just watch the movies, right? We're sending them your way. You'll remember with the Quakers now, we're getting along with the Islamic cultures, subcultures, some of them, right, because of our bond on geometry. This is kind of a two-way street here. There's a lot of emphasis on geometry in Islam, and that's something we have in the Christendom as much with the sacred geometry, which is like reveries that have spiritual significance involving Platonic shapes and their derivatives. That's one definition. So you could say this is a commonality between Islam and Christianity, so that's why, of course, the schools have this common denominator. All right, talk to you soon.